Welcome to my workshop. I'm Tina and this is Tina's Workshop. As promised, this is my wrap-up of my Christmas in July, even though it's coming out in August. But for me, it's still July. I'm starting it in July. So at the beginning of the month, I started the month off making this beautiful Christmas yarn that I spun. And I had used, let's see, I used Coriadel for the white. I used Tessa Silk for the green. And my tag's not here, from the red. Where is my tag from the red? I will try and remember and put what the red was up on the screen here. Anyways, I had used those three. I spun up 4 skeins of this colorway. It ended up being kind of art yarny. So there's thick and thin consistencies with it. And then I decided I'd found this beautiful yarn that I'm going to mix with it as a accent color. And this one is 50% baby llama and 50% merino. So we got all kinds of fibers going on here, but I think this is going to be fun. So this is going to be the main color with then the accent of this. So I don't know if I'll actually use both of these, but I have two. I am going to cake up my yarn and then I'm going to get started on my project. I have decided to do a shawl, and I'm going to do a triangular wing shaped shawl. So it's going to be that triangular but elongated, so it kind of has more of that wing like look to it. And I'm going to do a section that will have this color and then a smaller section that will have this color. So it's going to alternate. I'm going to knit it and I'm going to do increases on the edges and the center. And by doing that, instead of having the horizontal lines on it, I'll have the angular lines, which I think will give it just that little bit more something. And I'm going to start from the point working out so I can keep working until I run out of yarn. So I'm going to start with this and then I will end with this. So we'll see how far and how big it gets. And hopefully by doing that wing too, it will create a usable shape and size faster than if I just did the triangle, because you end up having less bulk back here that you don't generally need when you're wrapping it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to get this caked up and then we will start our shawl. I'll be back in a minute. Well, I got all of my yarn caked up. I only caked up one of these for right now because I do have, well, this one is 219 yards. And I was guessing I had somewhere around 300 yards here. And if I'm using this for an accent, I really shouldn't need both. If I do, I'll cake the other one up. But for now, I'm only caking the one up, and I've caked all these up. I'm going to use a size 10 knitting needle. And I've got a 49-inch string I'm going to use. I'm starting small, but I'm going to be getting really big. So I could actually use a smaller string to start and then add the bigger one in, but I'll probably just leave the big one on for now. So we're going to start with that. These are just clover needles. That's what they carry at Joann's. And I do actually like these ones. Don't get me wrong, I like my Chow Goos, and I have an order in right now for knit picks. But as far as cheaper knitting needles go, the clovers are really nice. Okay, so I think I will start with the smaller one. And we are going to cast on 3 stitches. I love short cast-ons because then you don't worry about having had too much in a tail. And then I am going to work into the front and the back loop of the first stitch, knit the second stitch, and work into the front and the back loop of the third stitch. So I now have 5 loops. Now I'm going to start to set things up. I'm going to knit 2. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to knit 1, yarn over, and knit 2. Okay, now I'm going to knit 1. Now I'm setting up the repeat. I'm going to knit 1, and I'm going to do work into the front and back of the second one. And then I'm going to knit across. This is my wrong side row. Then I'm going to knit in the front and the back of the second to the last stitch and knit 1. So now this is going to be my right side row. And I'm going to knit 1, knit into the front and the back, and then knit let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I just wanted to double check. That's my center stitch. It's going to become more obvious in a minute, but that one's my center stitch. So before the center stitch, I'm going to yarn over, and I knit that one. I'm going to yarn over again. Then I'm going to knit till 2 stitches before the end, knit into the front and back of that stitch, and knit the last one. Okay, so this is our right side, this one is our wrong side, and to make sure we don't forget that, let's pick a pretty little stitch marker. Let's see, I've got one that's green. How about that? Or do we want, oh, we'll put a bird. We'll put a bird in there. Partridge in a cage instead of a pear tree. How about that? That way we will remember which one is our right side and which one is our wrong side. So right side has the stitch marker, wrong side doesn't. Okay, so we're on the wrong side row. So on the wrong side, every row we are going to do knit into the front and back of that second stitch and the second to the last stitch, and we're knitting across the rest. On the right side row, we do the yarn overs by the center and the other. So we're on a wrong side row, we're going to knit the first one, knit into the front and the back of that one, knit across, and I decided this size of needle just because I have been knitting looser lately. So if you knit a little tighter, you might want to use a larger needle, because this, if you're doing something like this, I'm using, this varies in size, but it's more on the bulky side. Okay, 2 stitches from the end, knit into the front and back. And then knit the last one. Okay, I'm going to turn our work. Now we're on the right side row again. Knit the first one, knit into the front and the back of the second one, knit across to the center stitch, and it should start becoming more obvious. See the holes right there? So there's our center stitch. So we're going to work across to that. So I have 2 more stitches. We're going to yarn over, knit the center one, yarn over, and knit back to 2 stitches before the end. Oop. Knit into the front and back of that one, and knit the last one. So that is our setup. Oh, come on. Trying to get the needles out of the way. Hold on. There we go. So this is going to start working like this as it goes, and we will create that wing shape. So I think I'm going to work a few more rows, and then I will add the red in. And when I use the red, I think I'll do 2 rows back and forth, and then be able to, I'm thinking I can carry that yarn then and not have to cut and weave in ends. So I'm going to work a few more rows, and then when I'm ready to add the red in, I will come back. I think I'm going to go ahead and put a color change in now. It's hard to tell at this point exactly like these widths of these stripes, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it now. And now that I'm a few more rows up, I moved my marker up a little bit so it wasn't hanging at the bottom, and I actually hung it on that center stitch. So as I'm coming across, I see that stitch under my hand. I know I'm getting close to the center, so I can pay attention to where that center is. But if you look, you can see right there very easily where that center one is. So it's going to create this little eyelet pattern going up. So I'm obviously on the right side of the work, and I'm going to add in my next color. This is a really nice pattern for doing the end of my Christmas in July. It's a nice relaxing pattern. You have a pattern repeat, but for the most part it's very basic. We're not doing any purl stitches. We're only knitting. So you just have to remember to do your stitch repeat for your increases, but otherwise it's just you can just relax. So I'm going to add in the red here, and let me switch my yarn so I don't start using the wrong one. Okay, so second stitch, knitting into the front and back, making sure that I don't split anything. And we're going to knit across to that center stitch. I like this little bit of red. I think this is going to look nice in there. I'm glad I found this. Secondhand craft stores are the best. If you have one in your area, definitely utilize it. And if you don't know if you do, make sure and check, because we actually have 2 in the area, and I did not realize we had the second one until very recently that somebody else had mentioned it to me. Okay, here's our center. We're at our center, which is the next one. Okay, there's our center. So yarn over and yarn over. And then work to the second from the last stitch. I forgot earlier to mention too that I had stellina, the sparkly in here. You can really see it in this one here. It's got all that sparkle. That's the stellina. And if you're interested in how I made this yarn, if you go back to my first video from the Christmas in July, I will link it in the description down below too. You can see how I spun this fun Christmas yarn and blended it. The main tutorial is on the blending, but I blend and spin it. Okay, front and back of this stitch. And knit the last. So there's our first row of color. We'll work back on this one. Knit the first one, knit into the front and the back of the second one, and then knit across to 2 stitches before the end. So we're on the wrong side row now. Now this is a really nice yarn. It glides beautifully on the needles. I think I'm going to really enjoy working on this shawl. I will be spending my day at our local county fair tomorrow, spinning and or knitting. And I'm going to bring this project to work on, which will be fun, but we'll see how much of it I get done because I hear it's supposed to be 90 degrees. We are inside of a building which does have air conditioning, but we are also located right by the door that everybody's going in and out of. So it still tends to get a little bit warmer there than further inside the building. So we'll see how long I can handle the hot wool in my hands. But I'm hoping to get a lot done, and I will be bringing my camera so I can take some footage as I continue to work on this project. So we are almost to the end now, and we're going to work in the front and the back of that second to the last, knit the last one. So now we are at the end of the row. So I have 2 rows, so just a nice tiny little pop of color, and I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to pick back up my main color and carry it right here. So let's see. I think the best way to do that too. Okay. The less ends that I need to weave in later, the better. So knit into the front and the back. Let's see how much of a pop of color we get from this, or if we want to add more. We get a little pop. And honestly, you could make your different rows as thick or thin as you want. You could add a tiny pop here and a larger pop later. You could add multiple little rows, but no, I think I like that. So I'm gonna continue to work this for a little bit and we'll see how it looks. So we're continuing that same pattern back and forth, and I will see you back a few more rows. I got just a couple more rows done and wanted to show it to you again real quick. I really like that little pop of the red, just that thin line, so that's what I think I'll continue doing. But when you do that, you do want to make sure and add it on the right side, because this is how it looks on the wrong side. Unless you happen to like that look. Myself personally, I like the way that looks with that little red line. So I'll keep working on this for a while. I'll record some parts working on it, and I will come back to you later when there is more of it completed. So I have gotten down to this much yarn left, which should be just a little bit more, I'm hoping, than I need to do my last row and be binding off. So this is, it's hard to tell because there's so much on here now, but here is the distance from the back down to the point. So I've gotten quite a bit. And I like this little tiny pop of red that I did and not doing a whole bunch. And I was also able to only have to worry about weaving in ends for this and not this, which means that left me with more of this yarn. So I'm going to do my last row here and bind off. And I really like the fact of doing this shawl in this patterning direction so that I could just work with the yarn that I had. So I'm just going to do your basic bind off. And no increases or anything on this row, just straight knitting and binding off all the way across. Trying not to bind off too tightly, though I swear whenever I think I'm doing things loosely, I'm still not. So here's how the bind off row is looking. So I'm just going to continue this to the other end and I'll meet you there. Well, I have lost at Yarn Chicken. I thought I should have a little bit more than I needed, and that's all I have left to finish off. I could use the red, but I think that would be really strong right here. So I'm thinking I have this. This is some other yarn that I've spun. This one is an alpaca, and this one is Tessa Silk, Merino, and Flax. And I'm thinking that maybe if I hold these two together, it'll be a little bit more similar. It's obviously it's not going to be exact, and I'm not going to try and unpick all my bind off, so I think I'm just going to do this and hope for the best. So let's see how this goes. Let's see, what do I think? I don't know what I think. Hold on, I might look in one other spot, see what else I have before finishing this. Maybe I'll actually use this one. Similar colors. This is another one I spun, and it does have a little bit of sparkle. So it's the white and the green. So maybe I'll use that one, because I'm afraid this one is just going to give me too much green. So let's take that back out of there. Move these out of my way. And there's not enough here for me to try and spin up, because I still have some of that red and I have the white that I used, but there's not enough there for me to try and spin to have specifically that. Okay, let's try this one and see how it looks. Nope, I twisted that stitch when I put it back on. There we go. It's going to be much whiter than the other white is, but And then who knows, I might get to the end of this and not even get any of that green. But I think the little piece of white is going to look better than a little piece of red, even though the red is already in this. Let's see. That's not too bad. This has a more of the same thickness too because I spun it similar, so it's kind of art yarny. I actually entered that one in the fair last year under the art yarn. I slowly fed in little bits of sparkle and green as I was spinning, so I did not card it like I had done with this one to create the colorway. I spun it to create the colorway. I don't know that I'm going to come up to any of the green. That's okay though. Almost to the end. It always gets tricky when you only have a couple loops, stitches on your needle. Yep, I did not come to the green. So we just got the white all the way down to the end. Grab my scissors. Yeah, that little bit of white, I think that's okay right there. That's not too bad. So I just need to weave. I've been weaving in my ends as I go. And I've been weaving in all my ends, so the only ends I need to weave in right now is going to be this end here and these two here. So I'm going to weave these in and then I'll show you the finished product. So we used a little bit of this because we did not have enough of the other, but I still have a lot of this because I only used a little bit. I do like the way the small stripes looked. I could have made these stripes bigger or more of them and then had more size in this shawl, but I do like the way those colors have come out. When I was weaving in my ends at the very end, I wasn't paying attention, and this one here at the very beginning piece that was not actually knitted in, there was a tiny bit of the green and I wove it in on the wrong side. So there's like this little pop of green, but it's really not that big of a deal. So let's see how this ends up coming. So I don't know if I haven't decided yet if I'm going to block it or not. If I wear it this way, it comes down to here. So it covers nicely there. And I can crisscross it. I could put a brooch or something. Or you could, let's see. I say you could. I don't know yet. I'm going to try this. Don't like that. I think it's too chunky for that. Nope. I think I will stick with it the other way. I like this better. So it's not quite long enough to really, you might be able to, if you had a belt, you might be able to stick it in the belt there, but you're not going to be able to tie it behind you like the oh, I just forgot the name of the show. oh, Outlander. I haven't watched it myself, but I made one of the shawls from it for a friend. So you can't actually tie it like you could with the Outlander shawl, but I like it. It'll be really nice as just that little bit of extra warmth over my other Christmassy stuff. So it's got a really nice cozy feel. Doing the garter, it's squishy and cozy, so I feel like you could cuddle into it. So I do like it. That's how it came out. I hope you guys like it. I hope you decide to make some yourself, and if you do, make sure and if you post on Instagram or something, tag me in it because I would love to see. So there is the end to my Christmas in July, and the end of my Christmas spinning. So anyway, it's done. I hope you guys really liked this as much as I did. I really enjoyed it, and it was a nice, easy knit to finish off my jam-packed month of tutorials. So anyway, make sure to click like and subscribe, leave me a comment, do all those YouTube-y things. It really does help. And we'll see y'all again soon. Bye.